Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And once people join and pop in, they can kind of pick up, like jump right in where we are. And again, they can watch the replay.
Okay.
Welcome to the Getting Good with Money Virtual Book Club Session 1. I'm Tara Jones-Williamson. And so if you are watching the replay, please feel free to interact in the comment section and let me know what date and time that you are watching the replay. And for those of us who are here live, good evening. The first thing that we're going to get into before we start with the content tonight is a little bit of housekeeping. This workshop is in partnership with 1,000 Families of Color Incorporated. And so I thank them for having a program where they support and finance workshops like these to the Grand Rapids or Kent County, Ottawa County, Muskegon counties, and offer complimentary books and personal finance books as well for free. So for the Getting Good with Money book club, we are reading Getting Good with Money by Tiffany Alicia, and also everyone received a copy of the financial planner that I created called the Ultimate Financial Planner. And I'm gonna go really quick to the screen for that. And so thank you to 1,000 Families of Color from West Michigan doing that for everyone. A little bit about 1,000 Families of Color. They are a real estate industry leader here in West Michigan. They again help those in the Kent County, Ottawa County, and Muskegon counties and hope to grow, wider in the future. But they are a group of real estate agents and real estate professionals that number one wants to help see people in home ownership, people of color, Black and Brown individuals owning more homes, developing great financial literacy skills, also starting to build wealth through investment in real estate investing, and also promoting careers and related careers to the real estate industry. So, seeing more Black and Brown faces that are actual developers, that are real estate agents, that are brokers, right? That are property managers, that are all these different things. And so, if you are interested in any of that or wanting to get to know more about 1,000 Families of Color, please feel free to head over to the website, 1,000familiesoc.com, or email them at info@1000familiesoc.com. Now, I kind of wanted to introduce them first tonight and then introduce myself because, again, they are the one that's funding this Getting Good with Money workshop to where it's free to anyone who joins, and also the books are free as well. And I'm Tara Jones-Williamson, and I was hired on behalf of 1,000 Families of Color to deliver this workshop. So, a little bit about me. I was a single mother for 10 years. So between 2009 and 2019, I was a single mother. In 2012 to 2014, after I graduated college, I was able to pay off over $60,000 in less than 2 years using the formal education that I received in college paired with some personal self study in order to kind of get my finances on track. All right. I then launched Your Pretty Pennies in 2014. And this is what I'm running now. This is in collaboration with Your Pretty Pennies, which is my brand. And you can find out more about me at yourprettypennies.com. All right. I am now married and I have 4 children, one being a 6 month old. And the oldest is 16. And then we have a 15-year-old and then a 13-year-old. And then my husband and I share our first child together and had him about 6 months ago. And you actually hear him, but my husband just got home, so he'll be getting him right now. And so, yeah, if you have any more questions regarding that, please feel free to reach out to me at info@yourprettypennies.com, or you can head out to my website at yourprettypennies.com. All right. So let's jump right into more about the Getting Good with Money virtual book club. So we'll be meeting for the next 3 Tuesdays. So Tuesday at 7 on Zoom, okay? So tonight, October 7th, and then we have next week, Tuesday on the 14th, and then the third Tuesday of the month, which is October 21st. all at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will be emailed if you have not already received it. Well, you would have already received it because you got the link to it tonight, or the replay link, but you will get a link every week, an email reminder that comes out the day before, day of, and then like 15 minutes before in order to hop on. All right. So about the author, Tiffany Alicia, aka the Budgetnista, she is an award-winning financial educator. Her company, the Budgetnista, created a financial movement that has empowered and educated more than 1 million women worldwide to pay off debt and to save money. Her blog, thebudgetnista.com, and her podcast, brownambitionpodcast.com, have been featured in Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Fast Company, Forbes, US News and Reports, and elsewhere. And just a little side note, when I first started getting my finances together and podcasting and YouTubing and creating content first became a thing in my world and blogs, she was actually one of the people that I watched and admired many, many years ago. And I actually, while I was working a 9 to 5, I actually listened to the Brown Ambition podcast all the time. She was actually a co-host on there. And so that is just like a little fun fact. It feels so full circle to be teaching on her book because I just believe in everything she stands for. So that's really pretty cool. Here are some book club rules. RSVP if you can in the book club's app. Arrive on time. Read the book. Come prepared because we have conversations. Speak up. Listen to others. Be honest. Be respectful. Have fun. And last but not least, what happens in book club stays in book club. Okay. And this tonight, we're going to be going over chapters 1 through 3 in session 1. And session 2, next week, we'll be going over chapters 4 through 7. The following Tuesday, we'll be going over chapters 8 through 11, which is session 3. And that's when we wrap up. All right. And so just a little bit about the book. Again, I have mine open right here. Hopefully you have yours in front of you because we're going to be thumbing through it a little bit. I like to give a high level of each chapter and then kind of go into depth of any questions that you may have. Again, we only have an hour together, and I've already taken up 15 minutes of that hour doing introductions and a little bit about the program. And so just know that this is not a comprehensive overview of the book that we're reading. This is like Spark Notes or Cliff Notes, right? Like it does not substitute you digging your hands in and reading this book. So I always encourage everyone, even if you come to the workshops and the virtual book club, to definitely make sure you're reading the chapters in their entirety, okay? So each chapter is set up into 3 main sections called the plan, the do, and the review. Again, Tiffany Alicia, she's actually an educator, meaning she was a teacher for many years before she became the Budgetnista. And so the way she broke down this book is really trying to help the average person really understand personal finance. And so she tries to make it easier to digest the financial content by, number one, creating an overview of the chapter at the beginning of each chapter. And then she bolds and highlights each of the steps that you should take in each chapter. And then she sums it up by reviewing what you read. And so if you know anything about teachers, especially English teachers or writers, they love to do that, where they open it up with an introduction, give you the main course, and then they follow up with the summary. And so she does that beautifully in this book. All right. So let's jump right into chapter 1. Chapter 1 is all about getting to know financial wholeness, okay? When all aspects of your financial life are working together for your greatest good, your biggest benefit, in your richest life. That's what the author deems financial wholeness, where everything is working together in tandem, where you're not leaving a stone unturned. Okay. That is the goal of this book. Again, the goal is not to have a cozy weekend read, right? This is more like a manual where you go through, you take notes, and then you start from square one and say, okay, do I got my budget done? Am I good at budgeting? All right. Do I got my savings goals down? Right. And then you'll go into, all right, what's my debt repayment plan? And then what's my credit repair plan? What does my credit look like? And then you think about increasing your income and then developing retirement and investment accounts, and then ensuring that you have the proper insurance policies for yourself, and then calculating your net worth and creating a plan to go from a negative net worth to a positive net worth, right? And then identifying any financial advisors that you may need in your life and in your finances. And lastly, really creating a plan to leave a legacy for those that come after you. And so those are the 10 areas of finances which this book covers chapter by chapter. And so, is there any questions so far? Good evening, Emma. I know you're just joining. We are just going over chapter one, so getting like an introduction to the book. You didn't miss much, but I am recording this, and there will be a replay link that I will be sending out. And I was just gonna say, let me make sure I am recording, and I am. But good evening, Emma.
Good evening.
Glad you are here. All right. So in chapter one, I love the fact that she had these exercises talking about checking our mindset around money. All right. So in this chapter, she talks about identifying our financial influences and their patterns and identifying the consequences. Now, I give this example every time I do this workshop because it's so important. When I did this exercise when I first started teaching this book, I realized that my two major financial influences were my mother and my grandmother. So growing up, I lived in a two-parent household, and I have five siblings total, but at that time I'm the youngest of six. And so at that time I was only in the house with three other kids. And they were all older. And I always loved to be at my grandmother's house. So my grandmother is from the silent generation, and she's 86 years old now, and I do caregive for her, so that's cool. But there was a time where she, got me off the bus from kindergarten or came and picked me up from school, and I spent the summers with her, that type of thing, right? She lived right down the street, so I would walk down there and help her fold towels and help her clean up and watch old Western shows with my grandfather because they had a black and white TV. Even in the age where there was DVDs and color TV, she was like, absolutely not. And I'm gonna take my earrings off because I feel like they're hitting my headphones. I feel like that might be an issue. If not, I'm just gonna take them off because I can hear it. And so, long story short, my grandmother was a stay-at-home mom. She was a mom of five boys, and her husband worked, which is my grandfather. But and when he came home, she managed the money, and she was very frugal. She made it stretch a long way. She was a giver. She was a tither. She went to church. That's what she did, right? My mother, on the other hand, my mom is a baby boomer, right? My mom was actually the breadwinner of the house, and she too also managed money, but she was very much it's funny, I laugh. My maiden name is Jones, so very much keeping up with the Joneses, right? My mom loved to buy something new. My mom, she kept the bills paid. She had money in retirement and savings. She was a very good saver, but she was also a very good spender. Okay. She's not the type to go to the thrift store. She is not the type to buy anything secondhand. You know what I'm saying? But my grandmother was, right? So now here's me, right? I am now this day a stay-at-home mom and a wife, but I also run a home-based business, right? And I do love going to the thrift store and I do love being super resourceful and stretching the dollar. But if I want something new, I'm gonna buy it as well. Right. So I have both the upside and the downside. There was times where, just like my mom, I used to max out credit cards and was in debt and had to pay off debt. Right. But now I'm very mindful, now that I became an intentional woman around money, very mindful on how I spend. And I get that from my grandmother. And even now, being her caregiver and being back at her house because her house is paid off and she's living very extremely comfortably because of her frugality. She is, again, she never had to retire, but once my grandfather died, his pension was given to her. And so she gets Social Security. Her expenses aren't isn't even eating up the amount that she gets from Social Security every month. So she's constantly increasing her net worth month after month, even though she's 86 years old and hasn't worked since she was in her 20s, right? I say that to say, being around her is getting me definitely back to my frugal roots, especially now that we got a 6 month old and just reeling it back in. So, yeah, that's my financial influences and kind of the patterns that I picked up. Does anybody want to share their a financial influence that's been in their life and what was the good things or in the bad things you've taken from the financial influence?
Well, I'll jump in here. Not everybody at once. Um, I, my mom was kind of like your mom. My mother, I won't say didn't know how to save or just didn't save. I just think that she indicated to me she grew up poor, so because she didn't have anything or was always given hand-me-downs, that she had said to herself when she ever got grown and started working, she was going to make sure she had what she wanted to have. So that kind of trickled down with me and my brother because my mom always made sure that we had everything. So we felt like, I guess you would say, keeping up with the Joneses too. So with all of that, she just didn't know. And I just think and when I say we, my brother and I, we got grown, we started to do better with our money, although we weren't really taught. We had other influences, like back in the day, of course, older generation, the silent generation, they believed in saving. For some reason, they could save forever. But
Yep.
with
My grandmother
us,
definitely can. She's still a
yeah,
saver,
they can save.
girl.
On the other hand, this generation, I'm talking about myself as well. It's sometimes a little challenging for some of us. I think lately, and when I say lately, I'm talking about 15 years, 20 years, we started to do better. And we got better because we watched how other people were moving and we wanted to move like they were moving. And if they were moving, so quote unquote, in silence, but yet investing and saving and increasing their 401ks, then we started to take notes. So I can't say anything bad because I wouldn't. I mean, parents do what they do. And again, I always say when you know better, you do better. Of course, I've had a downfall with my money, but through Christ, it's going to get better. But I'm learning, and when you know better, you do better. So that's where I'm at right now. So I give kudos to my grandmother who was a saver, but I never really took heed from that. And I was always doing what my mother was doing because I thought that that was the right thing to do. So, and she never taught us
Exactly.
about saving. So,
Mm-mm. And it's interesting how even when parents learn what they do, they don't pass it down,
right.
right? They don't
Right.
pass it down. I never had a parent sit me down and say, okay, let's balance the checkbook. Okay, let's talk about taxes. Let's talk about paying off this credit card in full every month. Let's talk. Let's come with me to go put money into
Right.
savings. Let's look at this thing. And that's what I'm doing with my children because I want that to be normalized, right?
Right.
Like I want them to see, okay, this is how much income we have coming in. These are the expenses. Do you see why I'm telling you I can't send you money for Fortnite or why you
Right.
can't just have all the latest and greatest shoes? Because if I keep spending on you, what would I put up for savings? What would I put up for your college education? What would I put up for retirement if I just said yes to you all the time or even yes to myself all the time?
Right.
Right. So good. What about you, Emma? Do you have anything to
Well,
share?
it's basically what has been stated: when you know better, you do better. But growing up, and I grew up in Mississippi, and there wasn't a lot of money to save at that time. But what my parents did stress was you need to own the home that you live in. Don't rent, own your own home. So I grew up with that, and that stayed with me. And that was one of the first things I wanted to do when I graduated from grad school, was to try and get a home without having to pay rent. And fortunately, I was able to do that only by working two jobs, saving for the down payment, etc. And that's pretty much what I've taught my daughter, is that you can have some things, but you have to make sure you're budgeting so that you can have those things. And what helped me a lot was one of my first jobs had a credit union, and we had the option of putting a portion of our salary in the credit union before we even saw it. We could just indicate how much we wanted to put in the credit union. And that was a big help, because when I didn't see it, it was fine, but I knew it was there. And over the years, that just grew to an amount that really amazed me, because they paid interest. It wasn't a lot, but they paid interest on that money also. And that saving really showed me that you can put a portion of what you're earning aside and let it work for you. And that's the thought I've tried to instill in my daughter too. Even though you may get the full check, take a portion of it and put it away each month, so that that can be your safety net. And I know even now for her, she has three kids. It is sometimes difficult because of teenagers and the different things they want. But I still tell her, put a portion, you and your husband, put a portion of what you earn aside every month, and that's your safety net. So I keep stressing that now to the grandkids, even because they had summer jobs, and telling them the same thing.
I love that, Emma. And I have to put myself on mute because I'm the type that be like, girl, yes, girl. And I don't want to interrupt. So I'm like, let me put myself on mute while I'm over here agreeing. I love that you brought that up. And I kind of made a note to myself that a lesson can be taught in that. So, what Emma said, to those of you who are watching the replay or here on live, she is saying like, hey, when she worked at a credit union, they gave her an option to where they can pull money out of her check, and then she budgeted what else is left over. So if they take 10%, she gets 90% of her check, and she pays her bills and expenses and groceries and gas for the car out of that 90, right? You can also do that even if you don't have a company that allows you to do that. And here's how: you can actually go to your HR and you can fill out a form. You know how, like, your direct deposit form that you probably have already filled out and it goes to whatever checking account you chose. You can actually set it up so where you have 75% or 80% of your check or 90% of your check goes to account A, which is a checking account that you're going to use to pay for your bills and stuff that month. And then you can say, I want 10% of my check or 20% of my check each pay period to go to account B. Now, what I would suggest is you open up the account B as a high yield savings account or a money
Mhm.
market account, depending on who has the better rates. As you know, I'm sure you know, Emma, because you worked in banking. Girl, them rates fluctuate depending on
They
what's going
do.
on with the economy. HYSA might be beneficial, a money market might be beneficial, right?
Right.
And
Hmm.
then again, like how Emma said, it's not a ton. It's not like you're making $180 a month, $3,000 a month. No. But number one, you're making something better than nothing. And number two, I love Emma talking about this, just getting into the habit of setting something aside. That is the biggest thing. In Do we talk about it in this chapter? Let me see. Or in this session talking about saving? Yes. In chapter 2, we're going to talk about saving. Um, no, or chapter 3. Sorry. We're going to talk about saving. And it talked about saving like a squirrel. There's going to be times where we need money in the future that we may not have it in our actual paycheck that month, that we're going to wish we put something aside, right? So I just wanted to highlight that you can kind of set that up for yourself if you don't have a company who offers it. Go ahead, Emma. Did you have anything else to say?
No, no. And I just want to clarify, I didn't work at a credit union, but my job had the option of a
Oh,
credit union that we could use, and that was the way, I got into it. Yeah.
now that's even better. She don't even work for a
Okay.
credit union, but they kind of set it up as part of her benefits
Right.
package. I think that's really even better.
Right.
Like
Right. They did.
they thought
Hmm.
about you, right? And
Right. They
thought
did.
about another way to elevate how you manage money. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. I was glad they had it.
Because sometimes we don't know these little techniques until somebody tells us. And people do like to gatekeep financial information, right? And so to have a company that's like, hey, no, here's an idea on how to manage your money a little bit better. Yeah, thank you. Sure, will take that up on take your offer up on that. So I want to talk about really quick, not really quick. We have about 30 minutes. We're good. I want to talk about next budgeting. So as the sessions progress, we're going to talk about more and more higher level financial management topics. The first two sessions are like laying the foundation. And in my opinion, your first foundation is your monthly budget. Being able to manage how much money you have coming in, how much money you have going out, because you want the ability to have a disposable income amount. And your disposable income amount is how much money do you have left over after you done paid Comcast, you done paid your Wells Fargo credit card payment, you done paid your student loan, you done paid your insurance policy, you paid your rent or mortgage, put gas in the car, put groceries in the house, right? You bought your kids some new shoes because they in an extracurricular activity, right? How much money do you have left over to go towards your financial goal? Whether that's savings, whether that's investing, whether that's building a business, whatever it is, each person is different. We want to see how much money we have left over to start creating some financial freedom in our lives. And so the author talks about a money in list. And that's basically knowing your income streams. All right. And in a later chapter, we kind of talking about increasing our income streams, but this is just really setting the foundation and understanding what is going on with your money. And then also, you're going to write your money out list. These are your expenses, right? What are you paying for each and every month, including the variable spending? Like, how much money are you spending in DoorDash? How much money are you spending on subscriptions? How much money are you spending at Ulta and Sephora, TJ Maxx and Marshalls, right? What the Starbucks, whatever your vice is, right? How much money are you spending? Then it says calculate how much of each expense is costing you monthly. And then once you make that calculation, you can start to see how much money you have to start saving, right? So let's say, for example, you write down all your income streams on your money in list, and it comes up to $5,000 a month, right? And then you start writing down your expenses and your spending that you typically spend in each month. And then that comes up to about $4,000 a month. So $5,000 of income minus $4,000 of expenses will lead to $1,000 of disposable income. And that disposable income could be technically what you use to start your savings accounts. Because the next chapter, chapter 3, talks about building savings accounts like emergency funds, another savings account if you have some planned expenses, right? So that's why she says start to calculate your beginning monthly savings, because typically a person who's new to budgeting, they're probably not that great at saving yet either. And so that's their next step. So then she gives us some other action items, like looking at that expense list and saying, okay, if you had to reduce your expenses, right? What can you possibly cut out? Okay, what can you possibly live without to reach your financial goal? And then you want to look at that and start to say, well, I don't need Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, and HBO Max. Maybe I'll cut out two of the four. You can look at your auto loan payments and say, well, not auto loan, auto insurance payments, and say, well, it's been about 3 years since I've kind of shopped around for auto insurance. Let me see what the market has out there. And you do some quotes online and you save yourself $180 a month by going to another company versus the one you have, right? And you say, you know what? When I calculated last month how much I spent in groceries, that's ridiculous. I'm actually going to pare down on how much I spend, and I'm going to go on a low spend challenge for the next few months and eat up what I have in the fridge, the freezer, and the pantry, because every month all I do is keep buying more and more and more groceries, and stuff starts expiring, the stuff that's already been in there. I'm just only going to buy staples for items that, ingredients that I need, but I'm just going to try my best to stop spending on groceries, stop eating out, and just focus on how much I can save in food for the next 3 months, right? And then once you do that, you can recalculate the amount of money you have to go towards your financial goal till you reach the savings goal that you want. All right. So those are some things that are really beneficial that I found was really good from chapter 2. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with all of that, and that's
Mhm.
necessary to kind of get your expenses and your savings under control. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you know that 92%? So a couple years ago, a poll was done. I believe Dave Ramsey's group did the poll where he polled 100 millionaires, self-made millionaires, not millionaires who was like handed money or passed down money generationally, but like, oh, somebody started a business and their business generated, either $1 million in assets or $1 million in cash or whatever. How many of them stick to a monthly personal and business budget? And
Hmm.
92% of them do.
Hmm.
So that was an interesting read. I thought that was really cool. Any thoughts, Tasha?
I'm in total agreement with everything that's been said. I mean, it's spot on, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
there. So yeah, I agree with everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I've curved a lot. So
Good. Same
I'm on
here.
board. I'm on board.
And I don't know about y'all, but I've noticed, at least for me, the seasonally, if I'm going through something in life, something in marriage, people pass away, babies are born, excitement happens, some tumultuous, the economics, all these things affect how we manage money, right? And so sometimes, and by sometimes I mean all the time, we kind of have to get like constantly check our emotions and check ourselves on how we're managing money, because oftentimes we'll find, just like with stress eating or shopping or whatever else, how well we're managing our money, checking in with our budget, spending frivolously, or holding on to money, or how well we're executing a financial goal kind of directly correlates to how we're feeling in another area of our life. Has anybody experienced that as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you may feel like, well, if I buy something that makes me feel good, I'll feel better.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
And
yep.
you don't need it, but you
Exactly.
just think that that will make you feel better.
Yes.
And it could be clothing, it could be food. I mean,
Hmm.
whatever.
Because you
Right.
just want that dopamine hit, right? I was telling
That's
my
right.
sister, I was like, I've been having issues with anxiety again, kind of like how I did in the past, right? in the last few days. And I'm like, what is going on? I haven't, been struggling like this in a minute. But I also realized that I had a control. I used to have a really bad sweet tooth, and I had it under control for quite some time now. And then I got pregnant, and the first 2 trimesters, I was really food averse, where like I could barely eat anything, and everything was repulsive. But then third trimester came, and I feel like I got my appetite back, and I started craving sweets, and it lasted into postpartum. And like I've just been eating sweets like I have never been before. Even to the point the other day, I got a box of ice cream sandwich, not ice cream sandwich, ice cream bars. And I ate like 3 of them in a row, like in one sitting within like 20 minutes. And like I kept doing that over the last, I would say like week or two. And I'm just like, man, I feel so anxious. And I was asking the Holy Spirit, I was driving, like leaving home yesterday, and I'm like, why am I anxious driving? Long story short, the Holy Spirit revealed to me, like, you're eating too much sugar. So I looked it up and I researched it, and they were like, yes, absolutely. Especially if you have an underlying issue with anxiety, eating like a large amount of sugar at one time, which I'm not usually used to, but I've been doing for some reason for the past couple of weeks, can really, again, cause blood sugar spikes, which we know, but I had no idea it messes with your brain chemistry, it messes with your neurotransmitters and all these other things. And I'm just like, girl, reel it back in, reel it back in. So, needless to say, here I am thinking, okay, this is going to make me feel better by having this candy, this sugar, this chocolate, and it literally was making me worse, right? Like we don't want to get into the habit of, oh, let me go buy something to make me feel better. And then later we look at our finances and be like, this literally put me in a worse spot. Like that's what I got from that lesson the other day. I'm just like, oh my goodness. So needless to say, that was all the struggle I needed to lay off the chocolate. I'm done. I'm done. So let's jump into chapter 3 really quick. Chapter 3 is about saving like a squirrel. We're actually going to turn to chapter 3 because I love reading the intro. It is so true and so good. And once you think of it like this, in my opinion, I'm like, yeah, I'm about to be a squirrel out here. I'm about to be a squirrel. So we're going to start on page 62. And it says, be like a squirrel. All right. In New Jersey, where I live, we get hit with the best and worst weather of 4 seasons. But even with extreme highs and lows in temperature, you almost never sit in a park in New Jersey and see a sickly squirrel. They do not only survive, they thrive. Why is that? Because they adapt their behavior to seasonal change. Keep that in mind. During the seasons when acorns are in abundance, those squirrels don't mess around. They get to work gathering and stashing acorns like nobody's business. They even dig holes and drop the acorns in, planting them for their future. Sounds awful like investing, right? When the winter arrives, an acorns gathering isn't possible. They don't stand there, hands on their hips, and say, wait, what? It's winter again? They knew it was coming and they were prepared for it. Those little smarties tuck into their little homes and live off the savings they put aside during the good times. I'm telling you, they are super savvy savers. Human behavior is pretty much the opposite of squirrel behavior. We like to splurge and spend when times are good or eat a bunch of ice cream like I was doing. Terrible. And it's funny, just a little caveat. I was talking to my sister today and she was like, do you think you were emotionally eating because something was wrong? I said, actually, I think I was emotionally eating because I was excited about something. And I'm like, so we don't even pay attention to that. Sometimes we think we shop and spend or eat because there has to be something wrong. But to not be even killed, to have excitement in your life where your emotions are going up versus down can cause an issue in spending eating or whatever it is can disrupt your normal plan as well. So keep that in mind because I just found that out about myself today. All right. Many of us like to live for the moment without a thought for the future. No judgment, sis. I often too suffer from unsquirrel like behavior. What's the little one saying is that when we're enjoying these good times, we tend to think they're going to last forever. Yet, when the good times fade, we think that the bad times are here to stay. In this respect, we're like an ostrich, burying our heads in the sand and refusing to really acknowledge that life, just like the seasons, tend to be cyclical and importantly just as often driven by forces beyond our control. Now I love how she put that. These squirrels don't again wait until winter to start trying to gather what food they're going to have. They're in the summer thinking about winter. This is so good on so many levels because like the author pointed out, I mean, if you've lived for, I would say at least 30 years, if you are watching this and you live for at least 30 years, you've been in an economic downturn at some point in your life. For me, I've been through COVID where the economy got a little weird. And I also in 2007, 2008, with the housing market crash, I was in college. And actually, one of the reasons why I had to start taking out student loans because I had a full ride before then because I had a lot of private scholarships that my mom and I applied for when I was in high school. 90% of them dried up when the housing market crashed. They all had to send all of my scholarship money because it was gone. It was just absolutely gone. The pot was dry, right? So I've been through times of economic downturn, and yet there's times where I forget that things are not always going to be on the up and up. There is going to be a time where more money should be set aside. There are times where the government shuts down, right? So those who work for the government probably should have some money set aside. There's times where certain industries get slow and they start laying people off, right? There are times where um, businesses close right from under people and are forced to find something. And if they're in the job market and can't find something, they have to use savings in order to make, in order to make ends meet until something else shakes out. There's times where we will help a parent or a child in need. And so we're paying our bills and maybe paying a bill or two of somebody else's, right? So there's so many different things that we know. And let's not forget there's times where our car breaks down, times where kids are going to need back to school clothes and shoes, time where the baby is going to need more diapers, right? These are the times we know. But yet when we get an extra bonus check, there's some months where you get 3 checks in a month versus two. Do we ever stop and think and say, you know what, Junior is going to need diapers in 6 months. Let me put this to the side. Or, you know what, I know my tires are good now, but by next year, I'm going to need a set of 4 tires. Let me put that to a side now, right? We don't always think like that, right? So in this chapter, she talks about being like a squirrel, where you're going to identify and calculate your savings goal. Okay. Now, when we're talking about savings, I love that she talked about this because me as a financial coach and content creator, I talk about this. You don't just want to plan for financial emergencies or things that are unexpected. You also want to plan ahead for stuff that you know is going to happen. Right. So that might mean you have a separate savings account for emergency fund. And maybe you keep $5,000 or $2,000 set aside at all times for whatever. But that also might mean if you're like me, where I have an account for children expenses, right? I have 3 teens and I have a 6-month-old. So every time I get paid, I put a little bit of money in this separate savings account. And some people call it a sinking fund, meaning that you can always get money out, but always putting money in order to kind of keep something in there to be utilized at any point in time, right? But then also, I have a car repair. We all got cars. They all got wear and tear. They all going to go through wear and tear. So we should have something set aside for that. If we are a homeowner, I'm not a homeowner. My husband and I, we live in a duplex and it's a new build and very reasonably priced. So we don't need to have homeowners fund where if something breaks, we have money set aside. But my landlord should, right? If something happens to the furnace tomorrow, my landlord has to come out of pocket to fix that furnace, right? So he should be every month putting aside money for his home and also the home that he owns, another home that he owns, a duplex, where if something needs to be fixed, it's not coming out of his paycheck, it's coming out of savings that he set aside. So if you are a homeowner or a car owner, or if you have children, or if you help an elderly parent, or if you have a tumultuous work environment, definitely should be setting aside money for planned expenses or things like holidays, things like Christmas, Thanksgiving, back to school time, right? If you live in the north like I do, we have distinct cold and warm seasons. So your kids need a full wardrobe for the cold months and a full wardrobe for the hot months. So, every spring or summer, we're buying new clothes. Every fall and winter, a whole new wardrobe. So we should be setting aside money for that. All right. And then number 4, practice mindful spending. Again, everything that you're spending money on and every financial choice that you're making is competing against your financial savings goals, right? So every time you go to TJ Maxx and you pick up a new purse, the money that you spend on that purse can go towards your financial savings goal. Whether it's for your emergency fund, or if you want to build a car repair fund, if you want to build a children's fund, whatever you're doing, a travel fund, I don't care what it is competing against your financial goal. So you always want to say, okay, which one am I mindfully choosing today? All right. And then set up and automate, like we talked about this morning, at the beginning of this session, we talked about where you can go to your HR and say, hey, I only want to use 90% of my income and my paycheck to go towards my household. Can you put 75 or 80% or 90% in account A, and then in my emergency fund for account B, I want 10% of my check to go there before I even see it, right? And that just helps you save, right? And we can even do that for retirement accounts or investment accounts. We'll talk about that at a later time, but we can even do that. I want to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on that? And I'm gonna go off screen really quick because I have to plug in my computer. I don't know why it's unplugged, but I'm gonna go off screen for a hot second. But I want whoever wants to talk can go ahead.
Well, I agree with everything you've said in terms of the decisions we have to make personally so that we can be more stable with our finances. And we really have to examine uh, behaviors, how they impact our money, whether or not it's necessary. So it's a mindset that you have to have in order to see the value of your behavior and how it can impact your financial stability.
It's funny you say that, Emma, because I used to be of that notion where if I went to like TJ Maxx or Ulta or Target or something, and I bought something for $20, right? Every time I would go, I would say to myself, what's $20? That's just a drop in the bucket. $20 is not really anything, right? And
Hmm.
I found myself $20 all month to where it adds up to $250,
Right,
$300. And
right.
then it's like, yeah, but $300, if you go online, and actually my mentor years ago had me do this. She said, go online and look up an investment calculator. And she said, put $300 in a month for the next 15 years in a account that yields 5% interest or 8% interest, how much money that will be. And you just tell me if it's just $20. And it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind that I'm like, dang, she's right. Like, it's not about just the $20 one. Because it ain't like I spent $20, used to spend $20 out to eat one time a month or one time every 3 months. No, it was 2 or 3 times a week. It was, oh, I didn't feel like cooking. Let me go grab pizza. Let me go grab McDonald's. Let me go grab Wendy's, right? Let me just buy this new makeup collab from Target, right? It's not just one $20 session. It's always little. Dave Ramsey say, it's death by 1,000 cuts. Like it's not one major cut. It's like all these little cuts that add up, right? And so I love how you said it. It's that mindset, checking that mindset. Yes, it's only $20 this purchase today, but if you keep purchasing $20 every 2 days, that's going to add up to $300-400 that you could be putting in your savings account. What are your thoughts, Tasha? Okay, I don't know if Tasha's unable to unmute or whatever the case, but if you have anything, any closing remarks, feel free to come off mute and I'll be able to see it so you can talk. But yes, this was so good. Chapter or session one was really good where we went over chapters 1 through 3. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Just to let you both know that I do offer one-on-one coaching through the program if you live in Kent, Ottawa or Muskegon County in Michigan. 1,000 Families of Color covers $225 of your cost to work one-on-one with me, and you only have to pay $25 out of pocket. And so if you are interested in that, please feel free to email me at info@yourprettypennies.com. Ooh, let's see, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Or you can text me if that's easier for you. My number is 616-259-6806. If you are interested in working one-on-one with me to help you set up like your budget and your savings and debt repayment goals and all of that stuff. All right.
Mhm. Let me ask you about the bundle. And it's not for me, but it's for my grandchildren. So the bundle includes the worksheet, the workbook. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Um, the workbook, the mindset workbook, the financial. Okay,
Are you talking about on my website or are you talking about
the one on your website.
okay, what is it called? Can you see? Which one are you inquiring about?
It has the money mindset reset workbook, the financial stability workbook, and the
Mm-hmm.
budget mastery as a bundle.
Okay.
So all of these would complement the book.
Yes, they will complement it really well. Like I said, I don't know if you were on, but Tiffany, Alicia, and I align in many areas. And I created my products before teaching on this book. But when I tell you they go hand in hand, because I mean, financial principles, solid financial principles kind of go hand in hand across the board. And so, yes, they will be a good companion. They do go deeper, especially like the money mindset reset. You're really working on forgiving yourself, negative thoughts around money, childhood trauma around finances, like really going deeper about that. Financial stability workbook talks about what are the steps to take when you are financially unstable. Like, let's pop out the 10 steps that you should do starting today to get to a place of stability, and then you can
Mhm.
build on it. So I absolutely love those books. And then a 30-day financial affirmation. Oh my goodness, so good. I love all of those products that I created. They are downloadable
Well, I don't
workbooks.
see the
So
30-day
let's
one
see.
on here.
It's called, I know you said it in the bundle. That one is the Money Mindset Reset.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
It's 30-day scripture-based financial affirmation workbook where every day you'll get like a teaching, a prompting, and a scripture to go with it. And then it's going to ask you some questions to journal out and how to forgive yourself or forgive somebody else for something. What
Okay.
happened? Like it's literally going to walk you through and uncover any financial emotions you have to get unblocked. I've been coaching for the last 10 years and I noticed a lot of financial trauma, guilt, hesitation, resentment. And I think a lot of people need to kind of uncover that and so they can move forward and really manage money well. So that's why I created that workbook.
Okay, I see.
Mm-hmm. And then the financial stability workbook, and then the ultimate financial planner is like the one you see on the screen. Yep.
Hmm.
And the financial planner is a physical book. It's a 12-month customizable planner. So if they get it, like if you order for them and get it sent to them, or if you want me to send it to you and give it to them, however you want, they can start in the month of October. So they'll be able to write in the dates, the times. In the book, you get, I actually have it right here. Do I? Where's the financial planner? Right here. So each month you get, let's start from, you get a page where you can put in the month, you can put in the numbers on the calendar.
Okay.
And this is the page that you want to write down where your income, like your check that's coming in, what days you get paid, but also days that bills are due. One thing that I'm big on, and you can direct people to my YouTube channel to how to talk about this, is that, okay, if you get paid twice a month, which bills are coming out of which paycheck, right?
Yeah.
We don't want
Hmm.
to be over leveraged on one paycheck to where you got to use credit cards to start paying stuff until you get paid again. And then nine
Correct.
times out of 10, when people use a credit card and they say, well, I'll pay myself back the next time I get paid. Do we truly pay ourselves back? No. And then that money just accumulates interest and get in more debt. If we feel like we have the money in our checking account, nine times out of 10, we would have paid it with our checking account and then we wouldn't have the credit card debt. So I tell people all the time, write out your income sources and which date of each month they're going to come out of. Do this every month. So that's why you get 12 of these pages in here. And then write out your expenses, like when does Comcast come out? When does your insurance policy come out? When is rent due? When is utilities coming out? When is your auto loan? So I love this page for that. This is an expense tracker. And I have
Hmm.
people use this one to really focus on their variable spending. I wouldn't waste the lines on this page for things like when you're paying your bills every month that came out on the same time. You already know when your gas bill, electric bill, and paid or stuff. You can just highlight and mark that off on here. Use this when you feel like you're struggling with shopping, struggling with Starbucks, struggling with Target. You create your budget, right? On the next page. And on this page, you're going to allocate how much you're going to spend on gas, how much you're going to spend at the grocery store. And if it's like Target that you love or Starbucks, you're going to give yourself a number to stay in that works for your budget. And then you can use this to track. So where you know that, okay, I done met my $50 a week max at Target because I've tracked it to see how much every time I spend, how much I have left during each pay period in order to not go over that amount for that month in that category, right?
Hmm.
And so you get 12 months of that, but every 3 months, what'd you say? But wait, there's more. One thing I love about this book, every 3 months, you get a goal check-in, right?
Hmm.
So at the beginning of the month or at the beginning of the book, you're going to set some financial goals, a short term and a long term financial goal. If one of your goals is to pay off debt, here's a debt snowball method for you to write down your expenses from smallest to largest, document how much a minimum payment is, what's the payoff amount, and whether or not you paid it. And then every 3 months, you're gonna see a page like this, a goal check-in, whether it's where it's like at the beginning, we created some goals, and then we created some sub goals, right? Some actionable sub goals, and also a reason why. So if their goal, let's say, I want to pay off $20,000 in credit card debt. The sub goal could be number one, I'm gonna break it down and pay off $5,000 at a time every 2 months or every 4 months, right? And then the next sub goal is I'm gonna start eating lunch at work. I'm gonna start bringing my lunch at work. I'm gonna start cooking at home so I completely eliminate a dine out budget to have more money as far as less expenses, more money staying in the pot to go towards, paying off that credit card debt. Then the third sub goal could be I'm going to Uber on Saturdays from 8 to 3 to make extra money so I can put extra money towards debt, whatever that case is. Well, every three
Hmm.
months, we're going to check in with that and say, okay, have I been Ubering? Have I been eating at work or eating at home? Have I been taking my lunches to work? How much have I saved? And just really kind of checking in with yourself. What has been a challenge for me during this time? What has been working? What has not been working? And what can I do differently next time? So I really do love the financial planner. I created this in 2016. It is my number one best-selling product on my website. And it is a physical copy. So I do ship them out from my home. So yeah, as soon as they come in, I ship out within 24 hours because I'm kind of type A like that, where it's like I can't go to sleep until all my orders are shipped out. So yeah, yeah. So some
Okay.
great products on that website, yourprettypennies.com. And if you, I don't know if you've seen that, but there's a coupon code. If you use the code GGWM, all caps, you can get 15% off the products that you purchase. Coupon code GGWM. This stands for like getting good with money. So GGWM. All right.
That's good. Let me jump in
Okay.
here. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Miss Emma, were you going to say anything
No,
before
go ahead, Tasha.
I know that she had called me out and I couldn't get my mute button going, but I'm here. So I just wanted to just go back on this section that you were talking about, saving like a squirrel. Yes, I'm I'm so there because I remember me spending $20 here, $20 there in Starbucks. I should have just had some stock in Starbucks. But I say all that to say it's the little bit of spending that you think that doesn't matter is what adds up. And I learned that the hard way. So I'm better now, but yeah, I'm like Dave Ramsey. Yeah, it's those little bitty cuts that
Yeah.
gives you them thousand cuts that
And
really
I'm gonna
teach
tell
you.
you, we do get better and we get back on track. And then there's times where we fall off track, right?
Mhm.
But when you create a budget, like I was showing in my, I was just showing you the financial planner that was in my hand. When
Right.
you start tracking your expenses, it's truly a game changer because then you can see like, oh girl, are you okay? You spent 8 times at Starbucks this week. Like, are you good? Right? Or, girl, you've been door
Mhm.
dashing a lot. What's going on with you? Or, okay, you shopping more than normal. Is everything okay? And sometimes for me, at one point in time, I realized I was gaining weight and there was something going on with my weight because I had to start shopping for clothes more and more, and that wasn't like me. Come to find out, I had a thyroid issue that was causing me to gain weight. It was the weirdest thing. But it was me like noticing, like, girl, why are you buying new clothes all the time? Like, why isn't your clothes fitting? Like, taking that time to look at your finances and then ask yourself, what's the emotion? What's the reason behind this action you're taking? And then when you do that, you'll realize like, dang, I'm struggling. I feel lonely after work. I'm struggling going home, or I miss my grandmother, or somebody passed away and this is how I'm coping, right? You get to kind of ask yourself those things and check in with yourself, and don't just allow it to get too far when you track your expenses. Any other thoughts or questions?
Oh, thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Well, session two will be next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be going over chapters 4 through 7 and covering things like retirement and planning, credit, increasing your income streams, things like that. So we're taking it up a level as well. Debt repayment. We'll talk about that as well. So please, please, please come back and get the full scope. And then week 3, we'll be talking about wealth building and estate planning and having financial accountability partners and all that good stuff. So I hope to see you again next week. And if you are watching the replay, feel free to join us live as well. So I will bid you all adieu. You guys have a good night, and I'll see you next week.
You too.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye
Bye bye.
now.
Bye.